Hello everybody, this is Caitlin and you're watching Zombie Eats Books. So I have a book haul. I'm not going to talk about my book buying ban anymore because it obviously doesn't exist anymore. So on with the books. The first book that I picked up is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This I think is a post-apocalyptic sort of novel about a future in which, or maybe it's the present, I don't know, but it's a horror novel and it's about a world in which you cannot look at a certain thing that goes bump in the night, otherwise you die or kill people or something like that. Sounded really dark but really good. Everybody's just been praising it. It does have children in it, which is kind of a no-no for me because if it's horror and there are kids in it, I think that's probably one of the creepiest, scariest things as a parent that I can think of is a kid in a horror movie or a horror novel. But I've also heard that it's not really focused on the kids. It's more focused on this mother of these kids and how she has survived. So hopefully nothing happens to the kids. And I can leave this book with my soul intact. This next book is another dark one, and I've heard so much about it. By the way, all of these books are books that I have heard about on BookTube over and over and over again. So this is almost like a BookTube recommends haul. So The Vegetarian by Han Kang, and the translator is Deborah Smith. I have just heard that this is about a woman who becomes a vegetarian and her husband has a really bad reaction to it, as well as the rest of her family, and strange, weird, dark things happen. Another really dark one, Child of God by Cormac McCarthy. I've read The Road by Cormac McCarthy and really enjoyed it. I did try to read All the Pretty Horses and did not enjoy that. I don't know if it was just the mood that I was in. I wasn't in the mood for that kind of writing or not, but I will probably try and read that again someday because I did put it down and just didn't pick it up again. Anyway, Child of God, I've heard, is just incredibly dark, about a young man who potentially does some really horrible things to some people in some backwoods somewhere. Anyway, sounds great. I really like dark novels, and we'll see what I think about this one. I also picked up Signs Preceding the End of the World by Yuri Herrera, and this is translated by Lisa Dillman. This is one about a young woman who crosses the border between Mexico and the United States, and somehow the Mexican underworld is involved, and she's trying to find her brother, I think. She has a message for him from her mother. So this next book, I'm just not sure if I'm going to like this author. I'm kind of on the fence. But it's The White Queen by Philippa Gregory. I picked this up basically because it was super cheap and I thought I might like it. And I'm apparently not going to use my library to figure that out first. And this is the first book in a historical fiction series about the War of the Roses. And yeah, I like that period in time. I love historical fiction. I hope that I like this author. This next book is a book that I have wanted for a really long time and finally just gave in and bought the UK edition instead of waiting for the paperback of the US edition. And that is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I've heard that this is kind of like Serenity, and I love that movie. I love that series. So we'll see if I think that this compares, and if I think just as much of it as everybody else seems to on BookTube. So this next book is an attempt to read more zombie fiction because my channel name's Zombie Eats Books. I should read more zombie fiction than I do. I just tend to like the films a lot better, and I tend to strike out with the books. But I'm hoping this isn't a strikeout. I hope I like this. It's The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. Heard really great things about it. I hope that the great things that I hear aren't based upon the secret of finding out that this is actually a zombie novel. If it's kind of like one of those books where the twist is important, then I think I already spoiled the twist for myself, but we'll see. I hope I didn't just spoil that for people. I think that's pretty well known that this is a zombie novel, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. This next comic book I have been wanting for a really long time, but I've only seen the issues, and I don't really buy issues. If I can avoid it, I will. And I went to the comic book store the other day, and I saw Volume 1, trade paperback. picked it up right away. Lady Mechanica, the writer and the artist, is Joe Benitez, and then a different guy colors it in, Steigerwald, and the letters are by Josh Reed. Yay! Let me show you the art. So as for nonfiction, I picked up a book that I started to buddy read with Michelle from Michelle's Life, and we ended up putting it down and just not picking it back up because we didn't have the time, but it was an excellent book, so I decided to buy it rather than rent it from the library again. And that is Nicholas and Alexandra, the classic account of the fall of the Roman dynasty by Robert K. Massey. So Robert K. Massey is just an excellent writer. I knew after reading just a few pages, I got to about 75 pages or so before I had to put it down for school. But Robert K. Massey, oh my God, I love his writing. He's such a good writer. I felt like I was reading a novel, and that is so hard to do with me because I am so picky when it comes to nonfiction. I mean, I'm just not that bright. So when I read nonfiction, I really need for it to be engaging. Otherwise, I fall asleep. So I am really excited that I bought this finally, and maybe I will buddy read it with Michelle again. So this next book I'm a little embarrassed about. I read 1066 about the Norman conquest of England, and I was so excited that I enjoyed it, and I wanted to read a book that preceded that time in history, which would be the Anglo-Saxon kings. And I thought that I did my research really well, but I ended up buying a textbook, which, if I was looking for something dry, then this was probably the perfect pick. However, I'm looking for something engaging, and I am not sure I'm going to be able to get through this one. At least there are cool pictures. So maybe when I do find an engaging nonfiction read about the Anglo-Saxon kings, I can refer back to this one for the pictures. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you read any of these, what you thought about them, if you liked them, if you didn't like them, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.